Good afternoon, everyone. It is such an honor to be part of this incredible event. And thank you so much to Ocean Innovation Africa for this opportunity. My name is Nsovon Katinge, and I've had the wonderful pleasure of being part of OceanHub Africa as part of, as their program manager during the most challenging time of this year, which we've all experienced. And I have to send a big shout out to Alexis and Stephanie for overcoming this hurdle and making the program a success, and the program work without any prior experience of running an accelerator program during a pandemic. I've had such an incredible and amazing journey with OceanHub Africa, with Stephanie and Alexi, who threw me right to the deep end by trusting me to coach a team of startups who are in an industry that I knew absolutely nothing about. But thanks to the extraordinary knowledge in the industry, coupled with their guidance and patience, I was able to work with 5 of the most remarkable startups in their first cohort. So before I introduce the founders, I would just like to say that they do have 5 minutes each. And yeah, I will be giving them a 30-second warning just before we stop. So I will do that. So without any further ado, I am proud to introduce to you the very first cohort of OceanHub Africa by welcoming the founder of a Hermanus-based company, which is called Mean Sea Level, which is currently piloting its locally developed and patented wave energy converter design. Marius Hugo.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me. And I guess my 5 minutes is ticking, so I'm going to get straight into it. I'm going to share a slide just to give you a bit of an overview visual of what we're doing. As you can see, we're based in Hermanus, as Nsova said, and our goal is cost competitive, near baseload. That's the important part, ocean wave energy. So we're at the moment, we're piloting our patented technology by constructing a 1 megawatt plant under offtake agreement with an industrial partner in Hermanus. The road hasn't been easy. We've had 5 years of R&D to develop our technology and learned a lot, got some gray hairs in the process, but also had a lot of fun. Now, the problem that we're trying to solve, essentially, everyone knows the renewable energy kind of imperative. Firstly, the world is carbon dependent, influencing climate change. But on top of that, a lot of the renewable energies that are available to the world at the moment have their own limitations. Resource availability, uncertainty that leads to grid instability, and then ultimately the costs that are related to storage of energy. So what we see as part of the solution is an untapped resource of ocean wave energy. The great thing about ocean wave energy, is firstly that it's super consistent. So compared to solar or wind, there's no nighttime where the sun doesn't shine or the wind doesn't, as the wind drops quite suddenly, waves just keep on coming. And that makes obviously for fantastic baseload characteristics. Secondly, it's very predictable. So you can get long-range wave forecasts up to 10 days ahead, which allows companies to plan for flat sea conditions, which is also a huge benefit compared to the traditional renewable resources. Then when it comes to the abundance of wave energy, I want to share this little map with you guys. It's quite obvious. As you can see, we're at the tip of Africa, and it was quite obvious when we saw this map that we should be one of the countries leading the charge in developing wave energy. And the resource that we have here on our doorstep is just phenomenal. Everywhere on this map that you see red, orange, or even yellow, wave energy is quite viable, especially along the coast with our technology. Now, I'll get into the technology a little bit at the end if we have time, But just to give you a short description, essentially we build a dam next to the sea. Okay, so the wall facing the oncoming waves has a slope to it. The kinetic energy of the waves run up the slope and then into the dam reservoir behind the wall, which is the energy stored as potential energy, which then runs through turbines in this wall over here, creating hydroelectricity. Very simple. It's one of the 4 main categories of wave energy. Not our idea. We just optimized and patented it to be a slightly more efficient, especially in our ocean conditions down on the tip of Africa. So where have we been? As I mentioned, the gray hair is really the first 5 years of research and development. We've actually focused a huge amount of energy on marine civil construction techniques. The reason being is that if we build a wave energy converter and have to sell our power for 20 Rand a kilowatt hour, no one's going to buy it. So the key is not whether we can do it, it's whether we can do it at a cost that produces commercially competitive electricity. So that is our goal. And if we can't get sight of that, that's where I think we'd be failing. So a lot of effort and innovation has gone into that, and I'd love to share a bit more of it, but today might not be the time. So as you can see with the red dots around, we're busy, we're ready to build our pilot project now. We've got a site, the EIA, we're looking for funding at the moment to start, and that should be kind of a pinnacle of the last 5 years of our work. Straight after that, we go into commercial project number 1, which is right next door. Also all approvals in place, but we will negotiate commercially negotiate the offtake agreement with our partner. And after that, we scale the business. So thank you very much. That's really what we're talking about. I think I'm going to play a different video in the background as I run out my last session. It gives you a bit of an idea of what our site looks like here in Hermanus, and a bit of a CAD overlay, as you can see, of what this dam might look like. You'll see the reservoir itself in the middle, and the waves breaking into it from the side. So
thank you so much, Marius.
Thanks very much, everyone. It's a pleasure. I'll stop sharing and give the others a chance.
Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. I do have a few questions for you. The first question is, what changes in the African energy mix do you foresee in the future?
Well, for me, renewable energy isn't a one technology solution. I think the integrated approach is critical. I hate to admit it, but wave also isn't the be-all and end-all and answer to all of our problems. So number one, I hope for a good integrated resource and technology mix. Secondly, I hope that, especially on the baseload nuclear side, that would solve the problems on the risk side, and that potentially might also play a part of the solution.
Great. Your second question is, how does your wave energy compare against other renewable energies, such as cost, impact?
Look, I think the main part is, as I was saying, the challenge is around cost. So if we can't hit, in my estimation, 1 Rand per kilowatt or lower, I think we're missing the mark. Then from an impact perspective, the great thing about wave energy, or I'd say the greatest thing about wave energy, is its near baseload characteristics. Its availability factor is where we are over here, 90% or higher. So a company like an abalone farm, which is our offtake partner, running pumps 24/7, has some huge benefits in that baseload characteristic.
Awesome. Your last question, what are the next steps for your project?
Next step, we've had a bit of a delay this year in our fundraising. not for the lack of interest or potential funders, but the whole COVID situation has resulted in everything taking longer. So we're busy negotiating with potential investors, but being able to get down to Hermanus for due diligence, to kick the tires and meet the team, etc., obviously takes a bit longer. And I'm sure some of the other entrepreneurs on the call can feel my pain in that regard.
Yeah, I'm sure they can. Thank you so much, Marius. And
a pleasure. Thanks so much, Ntova.
You're welcome. Our second pitch comes from a powerhouse of a woman, the only woman founder in this cohort. And she is truly one of the most driven and dedicated people I know, Sarah Andriotti. So Sarah is leading SharkSafe Barrier, which is a South African startup company established as a spin-off company for the University of Stellenbosch to commercialize the innovative shark barrier technology, which prevents negative encounters between sharks and humans. To tell us more about that, welcome, Sarah.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to also try and share my screen and give you some images of what we are up to. Hopefully everything goes smoothly. You should be seeing a presentation eventually. Let's see. Please, so let me know if you see something, and then I will go.
Skip. Yeah.
It's good? Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you everyone for listening. I'm Dr. Sarah Andriotti, and I'm here to share with you the SharkSafe barrier technology. What we are trying to do here is solve the human-shark conflict, which is not just an issue in terms of human safety, but is also creating a loss of tourism revenue in the area where sharks are present. And the way we've been trying to address this conflict in the past 80 years is actually causing an environmental damage. And in terms of human safety, sharks are actually responsible for 6 fatalities per year, which is not a large number, but is enough to create such a fear in the beach users that every time there is a shark accident in a little island such as Reunion, they calculated a 40% reduction in booking after every single accident, which resulted in a 20 million euro loss in tourism revenue per year. And it is also this economical impact that prompts local government to utilize fishing gears, such as shark net and drumline, to reduce the number of sharks with the concept that the least the sharks, the least the encounter between sharks and human. But these fishing gear called shark net and drumlines are actually causing a huge environmental damage, not just by depleting the top predators of our ocean, but also by killing a lot of harmless marine animals. And here is where the SharkSafe barrier is different. Inspired by nature, we build a barrier that is naturally recognized by sharks as such, and we use this to keep only sharks separated from surfers and swimmers. The technology comes from merging 2 very well-known shark deterrent systems. One is the visual appearance of a thick forest of kelp that shark naturally recognizes a barrier, merged with large ceramic magnet, which creates a magnetic field that overwhelms the shark electromagnetic sensory system. And we tested this technology with white shark and bull shark, and we never had any of these animals crossing it. The design is built on HDPE plastic attached at the bottom of the ocean. We use recyclable HDPE plastic, and the outside row of pipe that you can see here in red also contain the magnet to create this magnetic field. We tested it on bull shark and white sharks from 2012 to 2016 and published the results in peer-reviewed scientific journals. So it was now time to bring this technology out of South Africa. And in fact, we exported 200 of our units to Reunion Island in 2019 in January. And since then, we didn't need to maintain these units. They actually formed a stunning artificial reef in the 2 years of deployment. I have here a very small video taken in February 2020, right before the lockdown, that shows how the local marine fauna is actually allowed to go close to the barrier and swim through it, and it doesn't create the damage that the nets do. So the way it looks at the moment, it can actually be a potential dive site attraction, which is not just solving the issue of the shark-human conflict, but also create an attraction for tourists. On the national level of South Africa, of course, our company could be a good for job creation and skill development, but also for the area that is going to install this barrier. You will have job creation and the ecological benefit coming with the artificial reef, which will prompt a tourism recovery, which fits 100% into the way we want to utilize our marine resources in a sustainable and long-term way as for the blue economy goals. When compared to alternatives besides the shark nets and drumline, which are actually used to kill sharks and marine life, the exclusion nets are possibly our only competitors, and it is effective to keep sharks away from swimmers, but not surfers. And by the nature of it, the maintenance on the exclusion net is about 20 times more expensive than our barrier. Of course, I'm talking representing a larger team. Is not a one-woman job, and you can see here how many people are helping bringing this forward. We have local and international strategic partner, including a potential French partner to do the anchorage system that will enhance the local biodiversity even further. So it is a new technology, and we're being in the media. We received some nice awards this year and last year. And we believe that is the solution we are looking for to promote a more peaceful and sustainable coexistence between human and sharks. And here are our contact details. And I think I'm in the time, so I will stop sharing. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation, Sarah. It is indeed a great impact that this will have, or it already has, on tourism. So first question for you, Sarah. What are the required CapEx and OpEx compared to other shark nets, or to shark nets rather?
Sorry, you were actually breaking up. What are the advantages compared to the shark nets?
The required CapEx and OpEx compared to shark nets. Hello, Sarah.
I'm sorry, I'm having an issue with the computer. Just carry on. I think, yeah, move on.
Okay, great. So that was Sarah representing Shark Safe Barrier. Moving on to our next founder. As someone that I consider the most focused person, I always say this about Simon, and I definitely would be as focused too if I had a history in the agricultural and renewables and waste management industries. On top of that, being co-founder of a company that has made a positive and lasting impact on the global food system. Enseco is designing scalable and affordable waste to protein production systems that redefine the way waste is managed and the way that protein is produced. So Simon, would you like to tell us more about Enseco?
Hello everyone, thank you so much for having me. I just want to share my screen over here to give you an idea. Can you see me?
Yes, yeah.
Great. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about my company Enseco. We are a technology-driven insect protein producer with a novel production approach. To start off, I'd like to read you a quote from the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization released in their 2019 reports, where they state that nearly 90% of the world's marine fish stocks are now fully exploited, overexploited, or depleted. Ultimately, what this is saying is that we have a problem, and that is that livestock production is costly, environmentally, socially, and commercially. From an economic perspective, animal feed is the single most expensive variable in livestock production, approximately 65% of overall costs. Of those animal feed costs, protein such as fish meal and soybean meal typically make up approximately 70% of the cost of animal feed. Now, if you look on the right-hand side of this figure, you'll see a graph that shows the historic price volatility of fish meal over the last decade. And what you see is that there's tremendous volatility. If you look at around 2012, you see considerable spikes in the price. And what this leads to is that animal feed users are desperate for both price consistency as well as affordability in their operations. From an environmental perspective, and I'm talking more about the land use and soybean meal now, we see agriculture has various negative effects on the environment. It contributes towards greenhouse gas emissions, considerable land use, uses a lot of water, contributes towards eutrophication as well as biodiversity loss. The solution to these problems is insect protein. It has a value proposition that benefits both the end user as well as the environment at the same time. On the end user side, we see a superior product. Numerous studies, as well as Inseco's own research, have demonstrated that our insect protein leads to considerable growth improvements for various livestock, such as farmed fish, freshwater prawns, poultry, and even pets. As a result of these growth benefits, these various livestock grow to their acceptable size in a much shorter period of time, and therefore reduces the overall cost of the operation, and not to mention the stable pricing, as we do not rely on weather to produce our product. From an environmental perspective, there are various benefits of insect protein, and the one I would like to stress today is with regards to fish meal. So when you use fish meal in, for example, fish diets or farmed fishing, you have to, for every ton that you include, you need to effectively fish 5 tons of fish from the ocean that then get dried and pelletized into the powder which gets fed to the fish. So in effect, for every ton of fish meal that our insect protein replaces, 5 tons of wild-caught fish are left in the ocean. Now, if you remember the statement I read to you earlier about the state of our oceans depletion, I think this is considered to be a considerable benefit of the product. Now, if you look at the state of the industry at the moment, if you took every farmed fish and every farmed chicken currently and assumed that they ate as much insects as they would in the wild, the market is valued at $100 billion a year. However, it barely features, despite the fact that there is a lot of traction in recent years. But compared to conventional commodities, it barely features, despite the fact that it's environmentally friendly, leads to various benefits, etc. And this is where Inseco comes in. We're a technology-driven black soldier fly protein producer, or an insect protein producer. Black soldier flies are our species of choice. And what we do is we partner with waste-generating companies and use that waste to grow our insects on site, ultimately removing the need for waste transportation. So the end product that comes out of our process is insect protein, which I've explained is a sought-after product internationally and is shown to boost the yield of various livestock species. We use a decentralized operating structure whereby we locate our processing at the source of the waste versus other companies which transport waste to a central facility. This leads to various structural cost advantages over the long term, as well as an easier operating environment. And we do this by licensing our technology to waste generators. We have a team of industry experts working with us with decades of combined experience in the industry. Over here, you can see our factory, which is typically catered towards large waste generators, such as agro-processing facilities and breweries. And then over here, you see our containerized solution, which is also located on site and is able to absorb slightly smaller volumes of waste. Our product selection is quite vast. On the left, you'll see our soil, which is effectively when we break down the organic waste, we're left with a dark crumbly residue at the end, which is then turned into, which is then used in agriculture. We then have various insect protein products that are sold into livestock, as well as certain pharmaceutical grade products. The value proposition of the business is simple. For the end user, we provide a highly nutritious and affordable protein source that is priced stably over the long term. For the waste generator, we provide them with a highly competitive waste management solution, earning them approximately 15 to 25% IRR, depending on the business case. And in some cases, actually in most cases, we turn a cost to company into a new form of profitable revenue. And all the while, across both user segments, we generate considerable sustainability. both for the livestock industry and for waste management. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Simon. And that was really great to see. Actually, I didn't really know there were so many different types of soil and insects, but I do have a few questions for you. I would just like to know, what are the specificalities of Inseco? So what, or how do you compare it to the players existing in the market?
Okay, so like our competitive advantage. So we have two primary competitive advantages. In the insect industry, you see a big trend towards centralized production. In other words, you see one big facility that does the entire production process under one roof. Now, this type of production process doesn't actually have much precedence in agriculture. You typically see a segmented supply chain. And we've sort of learned, I've got a background in the poultry industry. We've learned from the poultry industry where certain parts of the process are handled by different stakeholders. So what we do is we focus on biology, or the breeding of the insects, and we set up the production or waste processing at the source of the waste. Now, if you look at a large insect protein producer, they spend quite a lot of resources on transporting waste relatively long distances, especially as the plants get bigger. We are setting up smaller facilities at the source of the waste. We're completely removing the requirement for waste transportation, and ultimately leading to very structural cost advantages. And we do also have defensible technology that underpins our business.
Awesome. And what are the next steps for Inseco? Where to from here?
So similar to Marius, we are currently going through a funding round. We had a few setbacks with COVID. However, we've sort of kicked it off in earnest the last few weeks, and we've had some really good feedback. We're speaking to various family offices and even a few DFIs that are interested in participating as a debt funder. And at this stage, we're going through various discussions and due diligence with them, and we're hoping to sort of conclude the round by Q1 next year.
Cool. Last question for you. I'm just curious to know, how do people react when you tell them that you produce insect as feedstock for poultry and fish farming? Do they get excited, or do they just wonder what the hell that is, like I did the first time I found out about Inseco?
Sure, that's a really good question. I love answering this question. So when we first started this business, we took samples through clients and we said, would you like to try some of our insect protein? People were like, that's disgusting, we're not going to do that. And then I would simply ask them, what do you think your free-range chickens are eating now? And the answer is that, they're probably using insects. Apparently, based on a study that came out recently, 50% of a trout's diet is insects in the wild, not farmed. So as soon as people realize that that's what chickens and fish and pigs, for that matter, are eating naturally in the wild, the sort of psychological element falls away. And it's a natural solution. That's what they typically eat. So people in the poll that was done earlier, there were a few no's. Hopefully I've convinced them otherwise to realize that we're simply just commercializing a natural process.
Totally makes sense. Thank you so much for your presentation, Simon. Now, we are going to move back to Sarah. Sorry, are you back on?
Yes, now it's working again. I'm so sorry. I don't know. My computer just froze, went poof.
No problem at all.
Go for it.
So I guess the question that I was asking was that what are the CapEx and OPEX compared to shark nets?
Well, it depends. We have to custom made our barrier differently for every beach. We have to custom build the installation by doing a survey and finding out if we have rocks or sand and how deep do we go. But in general, we calculated that it is going to be 3 times more expensive than a shark net to be installed per linear meter. But because we can put it a lot deeper, we have the advantage of having more meter square of bay protected compared to a shark net. When it comes to the maintenance, again, it depends from place to place. If we don't have a lot of biofouling, then the maintenance is going to be less. If we have a lot of biofouling, it's going to be more. But we would like to have a job creation for a local specialized team as well, So if we calculate the salary and the need for going underwater maybe once a month and take some pipes out, clean them and replace with some new pipe and do that constantly, we calculated it could cost 30,000 rand per month to have the operation going, which is 20 times cheaper than having daily divers checking out on the exclusion nets.
Jeez. Okay, sounds great. And what are the main markets that you're targeting?
Well, the problem we are trying to address is this shark net and drum line being utilized to kill marine life. So our first target would be South Africa, Australia, Reunion, the island of New Caledonia, all of these places where shark net and drum line are currently in use. But of course, we could have a much larger market in the future in the US, where they are starting having issues in both Cape Cod and area in California. So, I mean, the sky's the limit, depending how many people wants to have a protected bay without affecting the marine organism.
I like that. The sky is the limit. So your last question, Sarah, is what has your experience been starting a startup or running a business as a researcher? I've never heard of anything like that before.
Interesting. Well, one of the first learning curve was working in terms of profit and investment, and all of these terminologies that are really not part of the CV of a marine biologist specialized in shark numbers and genetics. So it was a huge curve in terms of word learning, the vocabulary that is used, and also understanding what investors are looking for. I was very focused on the technology itself because it's new, it's fascinating, and we're using what sharks know and what sharks are to keep them away from people. And then I realized when talking to investors that they don't really care. They just want to know, does it work? How much does it cost? And will it solve the problem? So
Yeah.
it was an interesting learning curve, I would say, but it's rewarding. You get to speak with a lot more people and find like-minded people also in that blue economy environment, which was rewarding and nice.
Quite interesting. Thank you so much, Sarah. We definitely have learned a lot from you. I know I personally have.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Next up is a power team, and I definitely call them a power team because with the amount of experience that this team has, they have about 30 years of marine experience ranging from naval operations and coastal engineering management to oceanographic field work within the international oil and gas industry, 20 years of experience in the investment industry, as well as 25 years of construction and renewable energy sector experience. Wow, that is quite a lot. This team, definitely, there's never a dull moment without them. And here to tell us more about how they have managed to produce a multi-purpose wave energy pump that is incredibly environmentally friendly. Anton, representing Impact Free Water. Anton, you're on mute.
Apologies for that. That should be unmuted. I hope everybody can see the screen.
It's loading.
Okie dokie. Are you all seeing it? Oh dear. Let me go out and come back in again. All right, everybody, I'm going to try that again. Share my screen. Are we happy?
I'll let you know in a second. There we go.
Has it loaded for you?
If you'd like to put it on presentation mode. F5.
We're good to go. We're good to go.
Would you like to press F5, Anton?
I have done so.
Okay, it's still not on presentation mode.
I'm not sure how your technology is misbehaving. How are we doing?
Not sharing yet.
Okay. Share screen. Have I been given permission to share screen?
Yes, you have. I believe so. Anton, if you feel comfortable to just go for it.
Oh, you're not seeing anything at the moment.
Do you see your
I think.
Would you like to just?
I'm going to try do something different. I'm going to share my full screen as opposed to just the window.
Maybe we should just move on.
And hopefully
sort that out, and then you can go after. Is that okay?
Okay. Shall we allow the next speaker to go first?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So going ahead to introduce the next speaker. So the next speaker is someone who's worked extremely hard to build a platform that enables schools, households, and organizations to contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals through experiential education, and drives positive behavior change and generates measurable impacts. They offer this through their e-learning platform, in person, and by do-it-yourself box. And they also have books. So representing Captain from Plastic, let's welcome Ruben to talk to us a bit more about the School of Sustainable Development.
Thank you so much, Anselmo. Let me just share my screen. Just give me a heads up if you see the presentation. It's loading as well. Is this visible? Okay, perfect. All right. Thank you so much. I'm here to tell you something about the School of Sustainable Development and Captain Van Plastic. We are an initiative that creates experiential education for our shared future. And we basically aligned it with the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN, which basically enables societies, governments, and organizations to contribute to a better world. And this is obviously important because we see that in our current lives, there's still many challenges to be done around equality, around climate change, and also around sharing wealth in an equal way. The challenge, though, is that these goals were set in 2015 by the UN, and countries are basically not moving fast enough. So research has shown that in 2082, we will only be able to reach the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals targets. So we wanted to provide a solution from the ground up and basically create a school that enables an initiative that enables schools and households and organizations to contribute to the SDGs through that experiential education and drive positive behavior change and create measurable impact. Because if we can change the behavior of young children, they will be contributing to the SDGs over their lifetime. If we talk about experiential education, we basically talk about how we create heroes. And we started with Captain Van Plastic, focusing on life below water and responsible consumption. And basically every module that is linked to every SDG has a hero character. On top of that, we then market our books, our e-learning platform for teachers and learners, do-it-yourself facilitation boxes targeting corporates, and then also full facilitation by our hero character. The audiences that we focus on are basically primary schools. We provide unique life skills curriculum content that drives engagement and behavior change. We focus on households because we basically, through our e-learning, create a situation where children play in a gamified way at home, but then are influenced to also learn outside. And lastly, we target organizations that want to have measurable SDG impact, create employee purpose, and incredible marketing content. The school itself is focusing on 7 to 10-year-old learners. If you look at our traction so far, we started out by focusing on life below water. We created our plastic pirate module. We've worked with 1,000 learners and moved a lot of waste directly from their environment, installed 7 circular ecosystems at schools and generated our first income with that, and the proof of concept that we can create SDG modules with this hero character and storytelling approach for every SDG. If you look at our competitors, we are one of the only initiatives that really use storytelling and gamification that links that to the SDGs, but also looks at corporate shared value. So how can we create value together with children and corporates? Through our e-learning, we also make our program very much scalable, so we can look at translating it into other languages as well. We don't do that alone. We've got multiple captains running on one ship, which works, funny enough, from sustainability experts to great facilitators and illustrators. We have it all. If you look at our milestones, we started in the end of 2018, starting with our SDG 14 module. From there, we worked in South Africa and also started to work in the Netherlands. We've launched so far 2 books. And we've also, during the start of COVID, we launched our e-learning platform successfully, which was a great accomplishment for us to focus on the future. We are looking to reach 175,000 learners globally through our education by 2023, all focusing on that behavioral change. We'll use growth hacking, influencer marketing, paid display advertising, and Google search to target the 3 target audiences that I named. And obviously, we're looking at funding to take our platform to a higher level even. And last but not least, I would like to end with great words of David Attenborough. No one will protect what they don't care about, and no one will care about what they have never experienced. So we need this kind of education right now to contribute to a better world and raise generations that are conscious and understand their role in an interconnected system. If you want to work with us, send us a message in a bottle and I'll be looking out for it. Thank you so much.
Amazing, Ruben. Thank you so much for that presentation. I'm just curious, how do children from developing countries cope with e-learning, or how do they welcome it?
Cool. So what we've done basically is that since we have a teacher and learner environment, we allow teachers to basically download the content as well with facilitator guidelines so that they can in-person facilitate. So if there are schools that have no internet access for their children, we still can cater for them through their teachers.
Great. Let me see if there are any more questions from anyone. The next question is, what are the main challenges you're facing as an e-learning platform?
I mean, you basically called one of them, right? I mean, what we're really looking at, I think, in the future, especially for countries like in Africa, but also Asia, is maybe also USSD approach. So more like an in-app approach, or through USSD, where basically learners can access our platform without spending too much money or time on data, which is still a very valuable thing in more developing countries, obviously. But yeah, we've got good hopes. We've got different ways to bring our program to learners. So there will be a way for everybody.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ruben, for your presentation. I think it's really awesome work that you're doing.
Cheers.
Great. So should we go back to Anton? Anton, you still on mute?
To get that sorted. Hopefully we'll get it working this time. I'm going to share my screen, and are we seeing things at the moment?
It's loading. Yes.
Okay, so we make that full screen, and we're happy. Excellent. So thank you very much for the opportunity to present today, second time round. And thanks very much to OceanHub Africa for the support that we've been given all along. We all know that we have a water crisis. There's oceans of water, lots of dry land, and we need to get the water onto the land. The issue, of course, in terms of desalination is the running cost of pumping it. So our solution focuses on pumping water. And thanks to Marius, who has already pointed out the benefits of using wave energy as opposed to other renewable, other forms of energy, because of the capacity factor, availability, etc., all of the good things that Marius has already mentioned. Our particular value proposition is pumping seawater directly. We do not convert it to electricity. We use it as the power comes out of the sea in order to pump. And we believe we're doing this in a very environmentally friendly way, which enables various parties, whether it's desalination, mariculture, to reduce their running costs by up to a third. So the value proposition in terms of our unique selling points is the size, strength, balance. We believe we've got that right. That enables us to scale quite easily. We just add pumps if you need more water. 3-in-1 type of solution. We're producing power, we're pumping, we do pre-filtration. We can use the water once it's pumped to produce electricity as well. And we've been very conscious of designing something that has a maintenance-friendly design. When it comes to dealing with our clients, we are happy to have an offtake agreement or a sale and maintenance fee, whatever works best for the particular client. And the people we are looking to serve would be water-scarce municipalities, obviously along the coast, mariculture. We are pumping water for abalone industry or fish farming along coastlines, water scarce communities, off-grid power, coastal agriculture, coastal industry. We have current clients. The University of Namibia is one client where we are hoping to start a project very soon. We have a project at Kucha, an aquaculture project that, again, we're hoping to start quite soon, and an interesting project developing in Saldanha. We've had a proof of concept. Our initial unit was in the water from 2009 to 2019. It proved everything that we attempted to do very successfully. We also learned a few things and had a few great ideas that we are currently developing for the next iteration. Interestingly enough, there was very little corrosion, minor wear and tear, despite being in the sea for 10 years. The team, myself, I'm a business director. The founder is Simon Weinberg. It's his brainchild, and his passion has been working on this over many years. to get us to where we are today. We have a couple of international non-executive directors who provide some technical input as well. We've decided to keep the team small. We don't do a lot of stuff in-house. We have a lot of partners. We work with Nafasi Water for reverse osmosis. We have an external fabricator in Javan Fabrications, and Rwanda Technologies for anything to do with oceanographic services. We have the particular value that we offer is the fact that by reducing the cost of the maintenance and the running costs, we can produce reasonably good profits from a reasonably cost competitive selling price for water, which enables us, depending on the finance charges, to have a payback period of as little as 2 years on our capex. We have identified around the South African coast, there are a large number of potential tenders for desalination and aquaculture. There is a lot of international potential, especially around island communities. And at the moment, we have our flagship project in Namibia itself. That is pretty much my story. Apologies for the problems with the slides. I'm not quite sure how we got to that, but hopefully we'll take some questions now. And thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Anton, for that presentation. It finally got to work and we got to learn a little bit more about impact-free water. My question to you is, who are your current targeted customers, or what is your target market?
Well, at the moment, we will compete together with our reverse osmosis partner, Nafasi Water, with any desalination tender that comes out. Obviously, we look to develop some desalination alternatives ourselves, especially on the coastal farming or industry side. And then we're looking at the aquaculture industry, fish farms along the coast, abalone industry, where we're simply pumping very large volumes of seawater directly into their tanks.
Awesome. And what are some of the challenges that you've been faced with?
Well, COVID has been a problem. It's delayed us because we haven't been able to have the sorts of engagement that we needed. And then funding. Every party that we've been to wants to be the second party involved, especially when it's been the mariculture alternatives around the coast. We visited a large number of farms, all of whom are interested and all of whom are waiting for somebody else to go first. So hopefully our Namibian project will get the show on the road.
I hope so too, Anton. And I'm assuming since you're dealing a lot with water, you work a lot with municipalities and the government. What has your experience been like?
Also very bureaucratic, lots of red tape and lots of impediments to actually undertake a new type of project. Government is not the sort of partner you want when you're a startup. It's just very difficult to work through all the processes. Okay,
got that. But that's it from us, from the first cohort of OceanHub Africa. Thank you so much, everyone, for your presentation. And I would really like to congratulate you for making it through the pandemic. Like I said, nobody has an experience of working through the pandemic or even running a business, but you were able to get this far and make it happen. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the event.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.